All right, then we're not going to waste any time. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I took a week off last week. I took 1 week off from the Savvy Sports podcast, and the entire sports world just decided to explode. Everything is combusted. Players are on new teams. Head coaches are being fired. Head coaches are being hired. The WWE somehow ruined one of the greatest storylines that they had going. It makes no sense. And guess what? We are here to cover all of it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today, February 21st, an episode of the Savvy Sports Podcast. My name is Jaime Nazario, and I sincerely hope that everybody is having a wonderful day. Let's start off with what happened, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before that. We had Super Bowl 57. We had the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the Kansas City Chiefs in Glendale, Arizona. And I must say, it was a wonderful game. It was a wonderful game. I got to experience the game watching it with people, which for me, it's a rarity because I like to watch my sports alone. But I had a little Super Bowl party. It was a fun time. Shout out to Maddie, my wonderful girlfriend, Kevin, Ellen, Dennis, and Molly. I always forget everybody's names. I sincerely apologize. But thank you guys so much for coming through. It was such a fun time, and we had a really good time at the Super Bowl party. So let's go through it, right? Because it was weird. After, a week of being able to think about it, it ended up being a little bit weird. It was an offensive game by far. Patrick Mahomes, let's start there. The Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is now a two-time Super Bowl champion. He is a two-time Super Bowl MVP. I know that I forgot it on my first week of the Savvy Sports podcast, right? But the Vince Lombardi is in Kansas City. So what happened? Well, Patrick Mahomes started off not terribly, but he looked as he has in years before in the Super Bowl. He looked very human during the first half of the game. Throughout the game, 21 for 28 for 182 yards, threw three touchdown passes. So very much an incredible game when it's all said and done. But that first half looked a little human for Patrick Mahomes, which we're not accustomed to seeing. We're accustomed to seeing him roll out of the pocket, and he looked a step slower, including in the second quarter where they didn't sack him. I think it was a little bit of a late hit, but he went down and he's limping on the ankle. He can barely walk. He needs help to get up. And I don't know what happened to Patrick Mahomes, but Rihanna did her Super Bowl performance, and we'll get to Rihanna in a little bit. And he comes out of the second half, and it's a completely different guy. He looks healed. He's running out of the pocket. He's scrambling for yardage. He's making throws that only Patrick Mahomes can make. And it was an impressive sight to see. Again, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. But that's taking absolutely nothing away from the Philadelphia Eagles offense. Not their defense, but their offense. Jalen Hurts in the biggest game of his career, right? He got benched in the national championship when he was in Alabama. The biggest game of his career was two Sundays ago during the Super Bowl. The dude threw for 304 yards. He ran in for 3 touchdowns and threw another one. I believe it was to A.J. Brown, if I'm not mistaken. Dude was magnificent throughout the night. Seemed poised. I think the one mistake that he made was that fumble that cost the Philadelphia Eagles 7 points. But other than that, it was an incredible game for Jalen Hurts. But these defenses, my goodness. Now, we knew that Kansas City, even though they played very well the weekend before against the Cincinnati Bengals, we knew that the Kansas City Chiefs defense was not all that. They were good to very good, but nothing to brag home about. The Philadelphia Eagles defense folded like a cheap tent. They folded faster than steel folding chairs. That was terrible by the Philadelphia Eagles. A terrible defensive mishap. You let Patrick Mahomes not one single sack. A defensive team that had 70 sacks combined as a team did not get a single sack on Patrick Mahomes. It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense to me as to how either the Kansas City Chiefs are really that good, especially when it counts the most, or the Eagles defense flat out folded. There's no two ways about it. Because this was arguably the best defense in the NFL throughout the course of the season. And you fold to that degree in the biggest game when your quarterback is giving you the game and he's going back and forth with Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts has nothing to be ashamed of for that Super Bowl performance. Hassan Reddick, Darius Slay, and that whole crew, y'all need to come back and make up for letting Jalen Hurts down during the Super Bowl. Because that was terrible. I don't think that there was an interception thrown. Right? So no interceptions, no sacks for loss. And you let, 21-7, the second half score for the Kansas City Chiefs. You let Kansas City come back to that degree. Completely abysmal performance. But the Philadelphia Eagles are your NFC champions, so congratulations to them for that. They may be favored going into next season, depending on whether they sign Jalen Hurts or not, right? But we'll see how that goes. Now, off-season moves, because we're already in the off-season. Franchise tag season already started, which takes us directly into the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Because what is going to happen there? Now, I learned today that there's two different types of franchise tags in the NFL. There's one which is exclusive to the team, and then there's one where it's not exclusive to the team. I personally do not want to see Lamar Jackson continue to waste away his career in Baltimore where they're not getting him help. He has to carry the team by himself offensively. They're not getting him weapons. The defense stinks. And I say that disrespectfully. The Baltimore Ravens defense stinks. But besides the point, so I personally, right, because I know that Lamar Jackson's looking for a fully guaranteed $200 million plus deal, right? Now, I don't believe that he's going to get that from any team in the NFL, especially considering how Lamar Jackson the last two seasons has missed the second, third, if that makes sense, of the season due to injury, right? He was out for like 6 games this season, and then last season, I believe he missed the entire second half of the season with a leg injury. But here's 3 destinations that I would like to see Lamar Jackson go to, and you guys are going to see a pattern because there's multiple players on the move. We have the San Francisco 49ers because they have an elite running game, and Lamar Jackson doesn't have to throw the ball very far. He could throw a slant route to Kittle. He could throw a short pass to Brandon Ayuk. He could hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey or Deebo Samuel. You have an offensive line. You have an elite defense. San Francisco is one of those teams that is literally a quarterback away. That is the San Francisco 49ers. Another team that's being rumored that's only a quarterback away are the New York Jets. As surprising as that is to say, but the Jets were relatively decent this past season. They came within a few games of making the playoffs, right? You have Sauce Gardner, You have the running back whose name escapes me right now. You have a very good offensive line that you're going to have to reshape, but it's already serviceable for you. You have a bunch of first-round picks. You could just sign Lamar Jackson. You have an electrifying quarterback who can play in that system. Robert Saleh will figure it out. And I believe that if Lamar Jackson leaves Baltimore and goes to the Jets, I don't believe that it'll happen. Because I don't think that the Baltimore Ravens will allow Lamar Jackson to go to another AFC team that they're going to have to compete with. I think that they'd rather ship him off to the NFC, which is weaker, and they'd rather not see him once or twice a year. And another team that I believe Lamar Jackson should go to, and I want y'all to hear me out on this, right? The Green Bay Packers. I'm going on a limb here, right? Aaron Rodgers is being pushed out the door now by the Green Bay Packers brass. You bring in Lamar Jackson. If you don't believe that Julian Love, or not Julian Love, I'm sorry. What was his name? Jordan Love? Julian Love is the safety for the New York Giants. Jordan Love. If you don't believe that Jordan Love is ready to go, you bring in Lamar Jackson, you trade away Jordan Love for some more draft capital, right? You sign Lamar Jackson, you have your franchise quarterback of the future, a guy that we have seen can take over an offense. In the frozen tundra, which is meant to be run-first football anyway, run-first in defense, Matt LaFleur, I have no faith in him anymore. Right? But would I want to see Lamar Jackson in a Green Bay uniform? You're damn right that I would. Speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, who just won the Super Bowl, Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, has decided to step away from Kansas City and has taken an offensive coordinator job with the Washington Commanders under Ron Rivera. Now, what does that mean? A, it means that Eric Bieniemy is going to be able to be a little more hands-on with an offense. B, it means that he's not being overshadowed by the greatness of Patrick Mahomes and the greatness as a coach of Andy Reid, because Ron Rivera is a good coach, but he might give the reins a little bit more to Eric Bieniemy to have control of this offense. And hey, you still have Scary Terry over there. You still have some weapons that you could use. So this might be a good offense, and I'll get back to the Commanders later. Derek Carr, before a $40 million contract kicks in, has been released by the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I don't know what to do with Derek Carr, right? The dude is not terrible, but he's not great. He's just okay. Right? Derek Carr is one of those guys. He'll get some stats. He'll have a good game. He's the Yusuf Nurkic of the NFL. Is that fair to say? He's the Yusuf Nurkic of the NFL. He'll have his one or two games where he's very good and you think he's a franchise player, and then he'll just be meh for the rest of the season. Right? Three teams that I believe Derek Carr should go to. The Miami Dolphins, because Derek Carr does have an arm, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle need a quarterback that will be there, because as we saw, as unfortunate as it is, but Tua Tagovailoa, especially coming off of 2 concussions and everything like that, I don't know what he will be able to do coming up next season for the Dolphins. I believe that they release him and bring in another quarterback, Derek Carr, to offset and be more of a steady presence at the quarterback position. The New York Jets, like I said, 2 teams that are a quarterback away from really being in that contention status. The San Francisco 49ers and the New York Jets. And I would say the Los Angeles Rams. I don't know what they're going to do with Matthew Stafford. They're definitely probably not going to keep Baker Mayfield on there long term. If they do, then mazel tov to Baker Mayfield, but I don't believe that Mayfield is going to be the answer for the Los Angeles Rams if they really want to push back into that contention status in the NFC West. And we also have Aaron Rodgers, who, as I mentioned earlier, is being pushed out the door by the Green Bay Packers. Now, I really, really want to see Aaron Rodgers end up in a situation that benefits him, that turns the team into a contender right away, and a team that again is a quarterback away. Now I understand that some of these teams may not be, but I want y'all to hear me out, right? Of course San Francisco's in there. Of course the Jets are in there. But I got 3 wild cards for y'all, right? The Miami Dolphins, you have enough draft capital to where you can trade for Aaron Rodgers. You already, and listen, how incredible would a Mike McDaniel, Tyreek Hill, Mike Gesicki, what's the other cat? Jalen Waddle, and Aaron freaking Rodgers offense be? You would have to keep up with those guys. You would automatically have to keep up with those guys. If Aaron Rodgers goes to Miami with that offense, they're winning a minimum of 13 games. I would pencil them for the AFC East. I would even pencil them for the AFC Championship if Aaron Rodgers were to go to Miami. Another team, the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins, as we found out, is not the answer. Yeah, you win a lot of those 50-50 games, but Kirk Cousins is not going to push you into Super Bowl contention. We've seen it already. They won the NFC North with Kirk Cousins, and they went nowhere. They got stopped by the Giants, and they went home. Stephon Diggs left for a reason. Justin Jefferson deserves better. Dalvin Cook deserves better. TJ Hawkinson deserves better. Kirk Cousins is not the answer in Minnesota. And I've already said it on multiple occasions. Throw the whole state of Minnesota away. Not fast. Not if you add Aaron Rodgers to that offense. Okay? And I got another one for you. This one might get me some slack, but I want y'all to hear me out. The Washington, D.C. Commanders. Aaron Rodgers, Scary Terry, Eric Bieniemy, Ron Rivera, the whole crew would go to the NFC East and would win the division year one. Flat out. Would win the NFC East crown, even better than Philly, even better than the nauseating Cowboys. They would win the division year one. At the bare minimum, there would be a wild card round team. At the bare minimum. Right? So those are the main 5 teams that I would like to see Aaron Rodgers. Starting with San Francisco, then Miami, then New York, then D.C. and Minnesota, because I don't know what they're going to do with Kirk Cousins. And I'm not in a position to tell anybody for anybody to lose their jobs. Even though Philadelphia lost the Super Bowl, both of their coordinators, offensive and defensive coordinators, got head coaching jobs in the NFL. Offensive coordinator Shane Steichen received the head coaching job with the Indianapolis Colts, which means that they have relieved Jeff Saturday of duties. Defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon has received the head coaching position with the Arizona Cardinals, who let go of Cliff Kingsbury, who never deserved the job after they had given him an extension. We'll see what those teams do. Arizona is still in a decent position with Kyler Murray signed long-term. Well, I wonder what they're going to do with DeAndre Hopkins. What are they going to do with guys like Zach Ertz and James Conner? What are they going to do with that defense? Are they going to be good? Are they going to be better than 4-13? Or whatever their record was this past year? They were pretty irrelevant after having an incredible season the year before. We'll see what happens. And now, I want to switch gears a little bit. Let's get to the NBA. And by the way, If y'all are noticing now that I'm wearing an orange hoodie, is because the WNBA season is about to start, and I'm waiting to get an official WNBA hoodie, but I figured I would wear some orange to represent and go Chicago Sky. The NBA, we had the trade deadline. My goodness, what a trade deadline. Listen, the NBA overtook the Super Bowl week, right? And it got bigger. I mean, bigger than Kyrie being traded to Dallas. Ladies and gentlemen, the Brooklyn Nets, who were a fourth seed in the Eastern Conference, have blown up their big two. They sent Kyrie to the Dallas Mavericks, along with Markieff Morris, for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a first-round pick, and 2 second-round picks. And then the Brooklyn Nets have traded away Kevin Durant. The Brooklyn Nets traded Kevin Durant along with TJ Warren to the Phoenix Suns for Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, 4 first-round picks, and a 2028 pick swap. The 4-team deal involves the Indianapolis Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks. The Pacers receiving George Hill, Serge Ibaka, Jordan Nwora, and 3 second-round picks. Milwaukee gets their hands on Jay Crowder, whom they have been looking for all season long. Phoenix gets Kevin Durant and TJ Warren, and Brooklyn gets a haul. They get Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, a player named Jean-Paul Valette, which sounds very French, Italian-ish to me. 2023, 2025, 2027, and 2029 first-round picks. 2028, 2029 second-round picks, and a 2028 pick swap with the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix is a championship contender now. Kevin Durant might come back within 7 to 10 days, and we'll see what Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton have got to offer. Because this team is stacked. This team is absolutely top-heavy. So that'll be interesting to see. We transition over to the Los Angeles Lakers. They have shipped off Russell Westbrook. The 360 era in LA is over, and now we have the 361 era because they added D'Angelo Russell to the Los Angeles Lakers in a big 3-team deal. The Los Angeles Lakers received from Utah D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, and Malik Beasley. The Minnesota Timberwolves received Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 2024, 25, and 26 second-round picks. And the Utah Jazz received Russell Westbrook, Juan Toscano-Anderson, Damian Jones, and a 2027 first-round picks from the Lakers. What does this mean? Well, it means that now LeBron James has a souped-up Kevin Love and a Kyrie Irving that is a much lower-tiered Kyrie Irving, the same that he had in Cleveland when he won the 2016 NBA championship. He has a surrounding cast that is made up of shooters with Malik Beasley. You add Mo Bamba, who could shoot the 3, spread the floor, block shots, get rebounds. You have Jared Vanderbilt, who's a defensive stopper. Rui Hachimura, whom you acquired from the Washington Wizards for a few second-round picks. You have him as well as a 3-and-D guy. You give up Patrick Beverley in a deal that we'll talk about in a little bit. But what does that mean for the Lakers, right? You know what? Let me talk through some more trades. The Portland Trailblazers added some youth and some defense to their squad. They gave up Josh Hart. Portland received Cam Reddish, Matisse Thybulle. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Portland was involved in a 4-team trade with Philadelphia 76ers, the Charlotte Hornets, and the New York Knicks. The Portland Trailblazers added Cam Reddish, Matisse Thybulle, Ryan Arcidiacono, and a 2023 first-round pick. The New York Knicks got Josh Hart from the Portland Trail Blazers. The Charlotte Hornets adding B. Mikhailuk, 2023 and 2027 second-round picks. And then Philadelphia from Charlotte got Jaden McDaniels, a 2024 and a 2029 second-round pick. The second-round picks were flying around this year. And we're going to get into a big one right now. Golden State, after a few years ago getting the number 2 overall pick in the NBA draft, have shipped off their number 2 overall draft pick. James Wiseman has been traded from Golden State in another 4-team deal that includes Golden State, Detroit Pistons, Atlanta Hawks, and the Portland Trail Blazers. The Detroit Pistons receiving James Wiseman to pair with Cade Cunningham, with Jaden Ivey, with Jalen Duren. You still have what's his name in there? You still have Marvin Bagley, who hasn't panned out at all. But we'll see if a new coaching staff in Detroit soon can get something out of these guys, out of these young cats. Very much a young group in Detroit. The Golden State Warriors received Gary Payton III from Portland, along with 3 second-round picks. The Atlanta Hawks received Sadiq Bey from the Detroit Pistons. And then the Portland Trail Blazers received Kevin Knox and 5 second-round picks. That means that the Portland Trail Blazers added 2 young talent, 5 second-round picks, and a first-round pick in just these 2 deals, which means get game the hell out of Portland. But we'll get into that at a later time. And then the Los Angeles Lakers continue their playoff push in another 4-team trade. The Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Orlando Magic were all involved in this trade. Denver received Thomas Bryant from the Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers received Mo Bamba from the Orlando Magic and Devon Reed from the Nuggets, as well as a second-round pick. The Clippers received Bones Highland from the Denver Nuggets, and then the Orlando Magic received Patrick Beverley and a 2024 second-round pick, I'm assuming from the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets, respectively. Patrick Beverley was bought out. He's going to sign with the Chicago Bulls. He's coming home. I wonder what that means, especially after finding out that Lonzo Ball will miss the entire season yet again. And especially with potentially Goran Dragic, if he hasn't been done so already, being pushed out the door. You have Iota Sonmu. You have some guys. Now you add Patrick Beverley to add a little bit of fire to this team. To DeMar DeRozan, to Zach LaVine, to Nikola Vucevic, whom I'm surprised that the Chicago Bulls did not trade at the deadline. But besides the point, I digress. And now we have, like I said, Russell Westbrook was bought out by the Utah Jazz, and he has signed with the Los Angeles Clippers, rejoining Paul George, and then joining up with Kawhi Leonard. And I want to talk about Westbrook, and that might be an episode for next week, because I have something that I want to talk about that I've been thinking about a lot, and that is the list of players that have played with incredible talents but have never won a championship. We're going to get into that list next week for sure. Kevin Love, surprisingly bought out by the Cleveland Cavaliers and has signed with the Miami Heat. And Will Barton was bought out by the Washington Wizards, and it hasn't been reported yet, but I personally believe that he should sign with the Milwaukee Bucks, especially after they traded away George Hill. Will Barton would fit into that system. He could shoot, play some defense, take some of the load off of Drew Holiday whenever he goes to the bench. So now, as we talk about all these trades that occurred in the NBA, we have to talk about the standings. Now, the Boston Celtics, now when we get to the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics didn't really make any moves. They didn't really have to. I think they added Mike Muscala from the Thunder for Frank Jackson and a few second-round picks. That was a small move, adding more shooting, adding more rebounding. It's always a good move to have that in the NBA. The Celtics are still the best team in the NBA right now at the first seed in the Eastern Conference. Half a game behind them are the Milwaukee Bucks, who, like I said, just added I was about to say Jay Crowder from the Phoenix Suns. Philadelphia at 3, Cleveland at 4, Brooklyn 5, the Knicks 6, the Miami Heat, and then right beneath that with the play-in rounds, we have Miami at 7, Atlanta at 8, Washington at 9, and the Toronto Raptors at 10, which means, notably, the Bulls are out of the running for right now. The Pacers are out of the running right now. But the Orlando Magic have ascended into the running off of the back of Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, and that squad. See, I suspect Brooklyn will just continue to head to crash, especially because we don't know what the identity of that team is. Is Mikal Bridges going to be your superstar? Are you going to give the reins to Spencer Dinwiddie? What's going to happen there? But the Brooklyn Nets still have a very solid roster. You have Spencer Dinwiddie, Seth Curry, Cam Johnson, Royce O'Neal. You have Mikal Bridges. You have Nicholas Claxton. You still have Joe Harris. The Nets still have an incredible roster, undoubtedly, right? So they could still be where they were a few years ago prior to signing Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, back in that 6 to 8 spot, fighting for the playoffs, in the play-in, that kind of stuff. I believe that the Brooklyn Nets will, like I said, continue to crash, which means the potential ascension of the Miami Heat, and potentially with this Patrick Beverley move, maybe the Bulls become better, especially on defense, and especially with being held accountable for being sorry. If the playoffs were to begin today, in the play-in round, we would have Miami and Atlanta, which I believe was for the 4-5 or the 3-6 matchup last season. No, they were the 1-8 matchup last season. Excuse me. That was the 1-8 matchup. Now they're 7-8. Miami would win that game, even though I'm not too sure. And then we would have 9-10, which would be Washington and Toronto. I would personally pick Toronto to win that game. And then you would have a Hawks-Toronto game, which the Hawks would win, pushing them again to the 8th seed. So then you have 1 through 8. You have Boston and Atlanta, Milwaukee and Miami, Philly and New York, and the Cavs and the Nets. Like I said, these standings are as presently stands. This is not what I believe that my rankings would be. But besides the point, the Celtics will sweep the Hawks. The Bucks and the Heat, that would probably be a 5-game series. I'll be nice to Mr. Pat Riley, whom I didn't mean to insult a few weeks ago on the Savvy Sports podcast, but I'll say 6, and then Milwaukee wins. Sixers and New York, that would be an interesting matchup, right? I would pick Philly to win in 6, but I could see New York making it a dogfight. And then Cavs and Nets, the Cavs, I didn't say this 2 weeks ago, but now I would say that the Cavs might beat the Nets in 6. So we got a lot of 6-game series around here, and then the 1-8 sweep. Now as we swing over to the Western Conference, the Denver Nuggets, by far the best team in basketball right now, even though they don't have the best record. The Celtics are, I believe, a half a game better. But the Nuggets are the best team in basketball right now, with Jokic averaging a triple-double, could potentially be a 3-time straight MVP. Then you have the Memphis Grizzlies, who should be fine in the West. The Sacramento Kings are still in 3rd place, and they didn't make any major moves, and they're still in 3rd freaking place. My head is about to grow to the size of a bouncy castle and explode. The Kings are in 3rd place in the West. What? And then you have the Clippers at 4, Phoenix at 5, who added Kevin Durant and TJ Warren, Dallas, who added Kyrie at 6, the Pelicans at 7, Timberwolves 8, Warriors 9, Thunder 10. As presently constructed, 7 and 8 between Pelicans and Timberwolves. I believe that the Timberwolves right now would win that game. That's just my personal belief. But the Minnesota Timberwolves would beat the New Orleans Pelicans right now. And then you have Warriors and Thunder. Warriors just destroy the Oklahoma City Thunder, which means a Pelicans-Warriors matchup. And this will come back to bite me. But I personally would pick the Pelicans to win, bouncing the Warriors out of the playoffs. Won a championship, bounced out of the playoffs. It just so happens that way they've been very injury-ridden. They're a 500 team right now. I don't see them squeezing in beyond the playoff round, even with Steph, Clay, Jordan Poole, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, that whole crew, and now adding Gary Payton. I don't believe that Gary Payton III, as good as he was during last year's playoff run, I don't believe that he's going to be that difference maker for this team. So 1 and 8 would be Nuggets and Pelicans. I would pick the Nuggets to beat the Pelicans in 6. Grizzlies and Timberwolves. That's a rematch from last season. Give me the Grizzlies in 5. Kings and Dallas. That gets interesting, right? Because I believe that Sacramento is that good of a team this year. Like I said, I'm literally going to blow up of joy watching these Sacramento Kings. And I had to watch a televised game one of these days. When are the Kings next on television? Please don't say never. We need the Kings on television, TNT. Anyway, I would pick the Mavericks. I would pick the Mavericks in 7, right? And then that leaves the Clippers and the Suns. That would be the best first-round matchup of the year. And I would pick the Clippers in 7 to win that one. Bouncing KD, bouncing Booker, bouncing Chris Paul out of the playoffs. Now, by next week, 7 or 8 games have taken place in the NBA. These seedings can all change. But right now, that is my opinion. And that's definitely, if the Clippers and Suns meet in the first round, by far, that will be the best first round series in the NBA. Now, we have at 11, 12, and 13 in the East, we have the Bulls, Pacers, and Magic. I think that the Washington Wizards drop as they do every single year in the playoff hunt. They drop, which means the Bulls ascend, which would push the Bulls into the play-in round. And in the West, the Jazz, Blazers, and Lakers are still in the hunt. I personally believe this is a hard one to decide because the Warriors are going to come back healthy. Steph might come back by the end of the week. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, the Lakers are still at 13th. They're a game and a half back of Portland. And Portland's at 12. Ooh. I don't know, man. I don't see the Lakers making the playoffs this year. I think that the Portland Trail Blazers take that 10th spot from the Thunder, and they get the Warriors in the first game, which might mean that the Warriors could make the playoffs if that were to happen. But like I said, we'll take a look at the standings next week, judge them how different they are, and then decide as we inch closer towards the NBA playoffs. And now we have to talk about the greatest live event in the WWE was the Elimination Chamber that just took place this past Saturday. What a show. What a masterclass by Triple H. That show was magnificent. and then it died in the main event. It makes no sense to me, and I'll get into it in just a little bit. We had the Raw Women's Championship qualifier match, Raw Championship for the Women Elimination Women's Chamber thing. We had the Jeez, I can't be taken anywhere. We had the Elimination Chamber for the Raw Women's Championship, which pitted Nikki Cross against Asuka, against Carmella. Let me see who else was in there. Geez, I forget now who was in the match. Natalya was in the match because it's Calgary. Of course she was. Oh, no, it's Montreal. Oops. I'm sorry. Asuka, Carmella, Nikki Cross, Natalya, Liv Morgan, and Raquel Rodriguez. Right, those were the 6. So you had those 6 ladies in there. It was a great match, very much choreographed, very much a good showing by all 6, especially Liv Morgan not tapping out, but yet as passing out to those 2, the sharpshooter and the armbar, respectively, by Natalya and Asuka. That was a great showing. In the end, Asuka won Elimination Chamber 2023. She will go on to WrestleMania to face Bianca Belair. Next up, we had a few matches in there, and then we had the United States Championship Elimination Chamber. I'll be honest, I just watched 3 matches throughout the whole show. I watched the 2 Elimination Chamber matches, and I watched the main event. If there was something else, I apologize. I did not care. The United States Championship match was champion Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Montez Ford, Bronson Reed, Johnny Gargano, Damian Priest, my Puerto Rican brother. This was a great match as well. I mean, you had... Jeez, I forgot what the dude's name was. Who climbed to the top and did the thing? The very, very silly thing. Was that Gargano? I don't remember. I don't know. Who did the silly climb to the top spot? I was very dumb. Or was that in a women's match? I don't know. But anyway, Montez Ford, yes, thank you very much, Miami. Montez Ford climbed to the top and just cross-dive onto the other 5 guys. And I appreciate my guy, Miami, who's in the chat right now for reminding me of that. This was a great match as well. Oh, we also had Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. I don't remember who won. I'm pretty sure Edge and Beth Phoenix won because, of course, they did. It's a feel-good story. So that sets up. So Austin Theory won the match after Logan Paul came back and cost Seth Rollins, right? Which I believe that sets up that WrestleMania match, Logan Paul and Seth Rollins, and that's going to be a mind-blowing match. WrestleMania is going to be must-see TV this year, undoubtedly, right? And then in the end, we had Sami Zayn going toe-to-toe with the Tribal Chief, acknowledge him because he's still champion in a baffling move where Sami Zayn, the hottest act in your company, hotter than Cody, hotter than Roman, hotter than Cena, hotter than everything you could possibly have right now. Sami Zayn is the hottest act in the company, and he gets pinned. Now listen. Oh, this is so baffling. Triple H has done a very, very good job with booking both Raw and SmackDown, taking creative power away from Vince McMahon, putting together these stories, putting it all together. I understand, right? But it's Montreal. When you watch SmackDown and when you watch the Elimination pay-per-view, the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view itself, and you see the elevation that Sami Zayn gets coming down to the ring, when he's in the ring, when he's making a comeback, when he has the heat from the heel and he's selling, these people were going to tear the roof off of the Bell Center. The roof off. The pop might have been bigger than Bryan winning at WrestleMania. It would have been bigger than Foley winning on Raw. It would have been bigger. Anything, any pop you can think of would have absolutely been passed up by a mile and a half had Sami Zayn just beaten Roman Reigns. There's absolutely no point in Roman Reigns continuing to hold on to this belt. And if your argument is, well, Roman Reigns has not been pinned in pay-per-view competition and you want to save that for Cody, get the hell out of here with that. To hell with that. Because you could have had a merchandise mover, a ratings mover, the hottest act in your company, holding both belts. He could lose it in 3 or 4 weeks to Roman. And then you have your Cody match. But you send these people home happy. Because that's the audience in which this match was booked. Right? It makes no sense. And I believe that it is a complete drop of the ball by Triple H. Inescapable. Ball completely dropped by Hunter. Right? Bigger than Kofi Mania, 1,000% bigger than Kofi Mania. 1,000% bigger than Kofi Mania. Kofi was hot. Sami Zayn was stupid levels of hot. He was volcanically hot. He was white hot like the Miami Heat in 2014. He was red hot like spicy food, whatever you want to call it. But Sami Zayn, again, is the hottest act in your company. And I believe that it was baffling to see him not only lose, but be pinned. Pinned. Anyway, we have a WrestleMania card thus far. For the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship, we have champion Roman Reigns going up against Cody Rhodes. We have SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair going up against Rhea Ripley. We have Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair going up against Asuka. We have Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins. There's 4 matches, right? Now, I have some predictions for matches, right? I believe, and this one should be a little bit of a giveaway, but it should be the WWE Undisputed Tag Team Championships. It should be the Usos going up against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. We should have a no disqualification or no holds barred or whatever you want to call it match between Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley. For the U.S. title, I think that should be Austin Theory versus Johnny Gargano. And I think that maybe Austin Theory should win. Give him a win at Mania. Edge and Finn Balor should be a match. Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio should be a match. And finally, I believe that Gunther should defend the Intercontinental Championship, win the match against Drew McIntyre. Give him a big win against a former world champion, superstar, and then you continue to elevate Gunther and Imperium. That's just me personally. And with that, I'm going to be signing off today for the Savvy Sports Podcast, a huge 50-minute episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Leave me some comments about who you think else should wrestle at WrestleMania. Leave me some comments about how I'm delusional because I don't have the Lakers pushing to the first seed in the West and LeBron winning 16 more championships. And let me know who you think would be the favorites to win it all next year in the NFL. My name is Jaime Nazario, and I genuinely appreciate you guys for your time. Peace out.